if you're really good at this, it's very strong at a beginner level, okay? Unless people don't want to try to frame you, which is, I would say, it's difficult for Alpha to escape if he keeps his arm over here, right? Here. So it's not like it is kind of a bait, right? I give him some space so he swims the hand over, but it's in his best interest to get his hand there, because if he can get his hand there, here, and set up a good frame where he grabs my shoulder here and he opens up with his elbow. Now for me to put pressure on him is very difficult. For me to attack the arm from here is very difficult. And now we can look to hip escape and get out, right? So if he can get his arm there, he has a great chance of escaping. So that's one of the, so actually the better he is, the more likely this is it's gonna work. But also just like the fact that when you take your head up and it feels like he has some space here, he's more enticed to get that arm in, right? So this is a great bait. And if he doesn't try to swim the hand in front, we're still in a great position, right? Because he's not doing his best to escape, and we can move on to other arm locks here. So we're here and we're controlling, all right? Whether if it's hands locked, we keep our chin over our hands. If it's hands open, we touch our hand to our chin. Feel like he's not gonna swim the arm in front of our face. That's perfectly fine. We're just gonna move on. So from here, what I wanna do is I wanna switch my arms because I wanna look for a Kimura lock on this arm now. Right? So I'm taking my cross-face arm all the way out. By the way, I'm on 2 knees here. My knees are close to his body, and I'm leaning some body weight on his chest here. Right? I'm not committing all my weight. I'm not putting all my weight on Alpha here, but I'm committing some weight here, chest to chest. Right? Just for reference here. Right? When I feel like he's not gonna move the arm, I'm gonna take my cross-face arm all the way out. And look here, I'm gonna do a pass off where I take my left arm and I take it under my right arm here. Right? Because now I can let go with my right. I can turn my body and I can look to push down the wrist in the other direction. So we kind of got the same chicken wing formation here, just now on the other side, right? Before it was here, wrist above the shoulder. Now it's the wrist pinned below the shoulder. So this is Americana, this is Kimura, right? So I went here, I passed off. If his wrist is high here, I can lean back a little bit, swim my hand inside, and I push the wrist down to the mat. Once I push it down to the mat, I grab my own wrist, just like before. But now it's just in a different formation, right? So from here, I can start to attack a very strong submission on his arm here. But to really get this going, I would prefer to step over his head, right? Because if I keep his arm here, I can put some pressure, but I need him a little bit on his side, and I need to be able to control his head. So the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna turn my hips, I'm gonna walk my hips all the way up to his armpit, and I'm gonna step over his head here. Right? From here, I can push off with my foot, and look how I bring him to his side here. Right? So even if Alpha is very persistent on staying flat here, when I step, I can lift him up here a little bit. I can stuff the hand deep, and from here, I can do a really powerful arm lock where I bring my left elbow to his elbow, and I think about bringing my head away so I can pull with this elbow here. As I lean back, I put a lot of pressure in his arm here, and I have great control. So one more time, we're getting more advanced now, but we're going to, I would say arguably a better controlling submission. So I have the arm, I take my cross-face arm all the way out, and look, I put it under the other arm here. So I keep a close circle around his arm. Now I can take this out because this one is doing the job now, right? If this hand is high, look, I'm gonna lean back a little bit and I'm gonna swim my hand in. Now I can look to push that wrist down to the mat. When I push it down, I try to stuff it as much as I can close to his body, and I'm gonna grab my own wrist just like before, right? From here, we're in a pretty good position here. If Alpha were to try to sit up here, he would help me put pressure on this move. So he's gonna stay down. Now I wanna step over his head, and I'm just gonna get a little bit more to the side so you can see what's going on here. So just look at what I'm doing with my legs here. I want to step over his head. So look, I bring my hip close to his armpit here, and I take some big steps over here, over his head. Now from here I can step on the mat, so I'm pushing off my foot, and look how that brings his shoulder off the mat. From here, I can start to put on submission. So we're turning again. So I want him up here with the wrist pinned here. Now I'm lifting the elbow with my elbow. So we're here. To put pressure, I'm just focusing on pinning the wrist, and I'm using my elbow to lift his elbow. If my head stays where it is, I can only go so far, but look, when I start to take my head back, the pressure comes on, okay? So let's go back, focus on the little switch here. Swim your hand inside, pin, grab your own wrist, turn your hip, step over, make sure to push him off the mat, and then focus going elbow to elbow, lifting with your elbow, moving your head gently. You get a strong submission. Let's try grab a partner. Try